In this video, I want to cover a brief introduction on the conditional show hide mechanism in WebCTRL. This particular version is 8.0, but this applies to several older versions and all newer versions. Specifically, what I'm talking about here is a graphical object that is either visible or hidden based on the evaluation of an expression that we assign. This can be used to conditionally display alarm text, change animations from static to running, prompt operator actions, and much more. I'm going to use a blank graphic for the purposes of this demonstration to keep it simple. If I go into ViewBuilder, I'll add a static text element just to put something on the screen that we're then going to observe and manipulate with that conditional show hide. I'll just put in the text testing purposes here. And if I save this file and I go back to WebCTRL, we see that static text just as we expected. What do we do next? In order to do a conditional show hide, we'll select it, and we'll go up here to this question mark with a red background, which will produce a tooltip that says, assign conditional expression to show or hide selected objects. We'll click on that, which will bring up an additional window for show hide condition. It will present an expression field and then an option to show when that expression is true or when it's false. To better understand how this mechanism works, we can explore the help documentation and read a bit more about that conditional show hide. This page will explain how it works, the necessary syntax, and give a few examples of how you could implement this to leverage it in your own graphics. What is of interest right now is to look at this statement shown as an example. It is an expression enclosed by $signs followed by double equal signs. That's the equality operator in JavaScript. It's then finished off by specifying true or false to create a Boolean expression. If you explore further on the page, you will find a link to the help page on conditional expressions in a graphic, which gives further examples and syntax accepted by WebCTRL. It goes more in depth with conditional expressions, what you can do, syntax for and or conditions, and you can really see just how powerful this concept is. So let's go back to our ViewBuilder file, and what I want to do is make this as simple as possible. This is the logic that I have running in this controller. Extremely simple. All I have is a single binary input that goes out to a backnet alarm, as well as a backnet binary value status. It could really go to anything. We're just going to use these as an example. The ref name of the alarm is the default auto-generated M002. Over here, I have an analog value just to play with later, and the ref name of that is M004. So we'll just keep track of that. Going back to our ViewBuilder file, we have to put an expression in here. How do we get that expression? My favorite way to do this is to go into your logic or wherever the object of interest is living and select Global Modify to explore the object that you want the graphic element to be triggered off of. To do this, you can right-click and select Global Modify, or use the keyboard shortcut Alt-click. Perform the Global Modify on the particular property that is of interest to you to populate a new window with the object path. In this instance, it's the standard present value. You can use this button at the top to open a new window to make it easier to copy-paste. We'll take that path we just copied and we'll put it in here. We will truncate the .value because that's redundant and it will actually break the expression. We'll emulate that syntax that we saw earlier with the $signs at the beginning and at the end, the double equal signs, and we'll do true for this. As soon as we press OK, we see the symbol, a miniature version of that question mark with the red background, letting us know that this object now has a conditional show hide attached to it, kind of for visibility purposes. If you're working with a large, complex graphics file that has a lot going on, these can help you find some of those elements. What we're going to do now is save this file for it to take effect in the database, and we'll go back to WebCTRL. Now we see that that static text is gone. Now what I'm going to do is physically trigger the toggle switch that we just linked that conditional show hide to. When I turn this toggle switch on, that will make the condition true and the text appears. The opposite happens when I turn the toggle switch off. So that's as simple as it gets. but we can get a little more fancy. What we can do is go back to the analog value that I put in the program earlier, and we can throw that in as well. First, I'll add a number that's going to be linked to that analog value so we can easily interact with it from the graphic. M004. With these, you must select Relinquish Default if you want to make them editable from the graphic. I'll make another static text, and this one will say M004 is greater than 5. My goal is to tie the visibility of this text to that analog value. How are we going to achieve that? I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to enter another expression. I can do this as a comparison, actually. What I'll do is I'll copy that formula, $M004 / present _ value $ greater than 5. I want that to be show when true. I've just assigned another conditional show hide. I'm going to save this again and go back to web control. This is showing because this value is 8. Now if I change it to a 4, then it's gone. So now we've just done an integer comparison. That's pretty neat. We made it into a Boolean, but it wasn't a Boolean originally. Now we can do even more. What I'll do is add another static text, and I'll say toggle switch is on and M004 is greater than 8. So now I'm going to throw an AND condition in there. Once again, select it, conditional show hide, and I'm going to type out both of these expressions. $M002 / present _ value $ true. And I'm going to use the double ampersand for an AND expression. $M004 / present _ value $ greater than 8. Let's try this. Select show when true and save it once again. Nothing is being shown right now. I'll turn the toggle switch on. We'll get that first message. Now I'll turn the toggle switch off. I'll change this value to a 10. I'll get that second message that we created. M004 is greater than 5. When I turn the toggle switch on, we're going to get all 3 messages because that AND condition is satisfied. That's all you need to start getting familiar with conditional show hides in web control. You can now create your own graphical elements or better understand or troubleshoot pages that aren't working properly. Given that this is JavaScript based, this is an extremely powerful tool that you can use to add tons of visibility and functionality to your graphics.